In the year 793 AD, a year that all of Europe would never forget, darkness thickened and engulfed the coast of England, where waves as black as night seemed to swallow every sound. Suddenly, amid the mist, the thunderous beat of drums echoed like the heartbeats of a giant monster, signaling that a nightmare was about to descend. Tall figures emerged from the sea, their cold eyes reflecting the firelight, armed with gleaming battle axes and shining armor. They were the Vikings, warriors with iron wills and an undying thirst to conquer every land beneath the sky. But this invasion was not just about bloodshed and slaughter. It was a drama of bravery, cunning strategy, and historical secrets carved into every swing of the axe. As the screams tore through the night and the ground trembled beneath their steps, the fate of an entire nation hung in the balance during that moment of terror. Join Historical Owl as we uncover the mysterious and dramatic story of the invasion that brought all of Europe to its knees. The Vikings, often imagined as fearsome warriors with helmets and ships full of soldiers, were in fact a diverse community with a complex culture from the region of Scandinavia, modern-day Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. They thrived from the late 8th century to the 11th century, a period also known as the Viking Age. Origins and society. The Vikings came from rural, northern European villages, where they developed skills in farming and livestock breeding. Daily life revolved around agriculture and craftsmanship, but most notably, their shipbuilding and seafaring abilities stood out, enabling them to explore and expand throughout Europe, and even reach North America through their voyage to Vinland around 1000 AD. Culture and religion. The Vikings had a richly symbolic belief system with gods such as Thor, the god of thunder, and Odin, the god of wisdom and war. They believed that life was governed by a destiny determined by the gods. Viking mythology was passed down orally through stories and poems before being recorded in the form of sagas. Art and creativity. Viking art was expressed through jewelry, wood carvings, and metalwork, showcasing intricate craftsmanship and profound symbolic meaning. Their works often depicted scenes of daily life, divine figures, and symbols of power, underscoring their rich culture and relentless creative spirit. Exploration and expansion. Viking journeys were not solely for raiding, but also for trade and settlement. They established colonies in Iceland, Greenland, and even parts of eastern Russia. Notably, their advanced shipbuilding techniques allowed them to traverse oceans and narrow rivers, enabling them to conquer and establish a presence in distant lands. Beyond their surprise raids and cunning military tactics, the legacy of the Vikings is much broader, with significant influence on European language, art, and culture. Words from Old Norse have left their mark on modern English, demonstrating their enduring cultural impact. The Viking invasions of European countries in the 8th and 9th centuries were not the result of a single factor, but rather a combination of natural, political, and religious influences. Three main reasons that explain these events include the harsh conditions of Northern Europe, the allure of fertile lands in England, and the role of religious elements. Harsh natural conditions in Northern Europe. Scandinavia, the homeland of the Vikings, was a region with long, severe winters, brief summers, and land that could not produce enough to sustain an increasingly growing population. These natural conditions created a society reliant on warfare and adventure. To survive, the Vikings had to seek out new lands for resources, making raids and invasions a part of their daily life. This explains why they frequently set sail to search for land and wealth from other territories. The allure of fertile lands in England. In contrast to the harshness of Scandinavia, the land in England was incredibly fertile and rich, especially in agricultural areas and wealthy monasteries. These monasteries were not only religious centers but also repositories of valuable assets, making them easy targets for Viking raids. With abundant resources and a weak defense system, England became a tempting prize for Viking invasions, as they were constantly in search of wealth. Religious factors. One of the equally significant causes was the religious difference. The Vikings followed a polytheistic belief system and held a hostile attitude toward Christianity, particularly toward Christian monasteries in England. They not only raided for resources, but also had a religious motivation when attacking monasteries, which were symbols of the opposing faith. For the Vikings, these invasions were not just about acquiring wealth, but also about asserting their power over a religion they saw as foreign and oppressive. Thus, the Viking invasions were not random, but the result of a combination of natural, social, and religious factors. These elements created a favorable environment for the emergence and development of the invasions, making them an inseparable part of European history. Life in England during the Viking Age was a period of turmoil and change, marked by invasions and the gradual assimilation of the Vikings with the local population. After the invasions, the Vikings were not only conquerors but also brought about profound changes in the culture, society, and economy of England. Economically, the Vikings stimulated the development of trade and production. Cities like York, Jorvik, became bustling trade centers where goods from all over were exchanged. The Vikings also introduced new agricultural techniques, such as the cultivation of oats and barley, which helped improve the food supply for the region. Culturally, the Vikings left a profound impact, particularly in art and language. Viking artistic designs blended with Anglo-Saxon styles, creating a distinctive combination. Their language also contributed to the development of English, with many Old Norse-derived words still in use today, especially in areas like law and administration. These influences were not limited to cultural exchanges, but also extended to festivals and religious practices, as Norse paganism's influence remained in folk traditions. Socially, the Viking invasions led to the formation of new systems of governance and organization. The Vikings' things, where issues and disputes were settled, were integrated into the Anglo-Saxon legal system, creating a more complex social structure. While Christianity eventually replaced Norse beliefs, the marks of Viking religion lingered in the traditions and customs of local communities for a long time. Ultimately, although the Viking Age came to an end after the Norman conquest of England in 1066, the legacy of the Vikings endures. Rather than merely violent invasions, the Vikings left an indelible mark by connecting cultures, facilitating trade, and fostering social exchange. They were not only invaders but also catalysts for a significant transitional period in English history, contributing to the formation of a stronger England, more closely connected with the rest of Europe. The Viking legacy in England is not only found in bloody invasions but also in the profound influences they left on the culture, language, and architecture of the country. Throughout their occupation of lands in northeastern and central England, the Vikings were not just brutal warriors but also cultural reformers, bringing about significant changes in English social life, trade, and law. One of the most prominent legacies of the Vikings is their influence on the English language. Many words in modern English trace their origins to Old Norse, such as egg, sky, and window. These words not only reflect the profound impact of the Vikings, but also demonstrate how deeply they integrated into the daily life of the English people. In regions like Jorvik, now York, where Viking influence is most pronounced, cultural traces are still preserved to this day. Street names and place names here, such as the Shambles, a former meat market, still reflect Viking urban planning, emphasizing convenience and commerce. Beyond language, the Vikings left a significant mark on England's legal and administrative systems. In the Danelaw, the territory ruled by the Vikings, they introduced legal provisions that were distinct to their culture, which then blended with Anglo-Saxon traditions. This fusion created a hybrid legal system, many elements of which remain in practice today. These regulations not only helped strengthen the legal foundation of England, but also influenced the development of other legal systems throughout history. On the economic front, the Vikings made significant contributions to the development of trade and agriculture. They established new trade routes linking England to regions in Scandinavia and the Baltic Sea, enriching the English economy. The advancements in shipbuilding and the navigational skills of the Vikings also laid the foundation for England's later success in maritime activities. The Viking legacy in England is not just reflected in historic battles but also in the widespread influences on culture, language, law, and economy. Viking-era relics can still be found in place names, legal traditions, and even in daily life, forming an indispensable part of England's cultural identity today. Thus, we've uncovered just a small part of the grand story of the Viking warriors, those who not only caused destruction but left a lasting imprint on the culture and history of England and Europe. But do you ever wonder about the secrets still hidden behind those invasions? Were the Viking ships truly ghost ships? Or is there a story behind each majestic mast? If you're eager to explore more, don't forget to hit subscribe on the Wise Owl channel to continue our journey of discovery through the adventures, mysteries, and fascinating creatures of our world. Click the bell icon to ensure you never miss a video. After all, the story of the Viking invaders is just the beginning. And remember, our question for you is, do you believe that the Vikings' trade routes still exist beneath these oceans? Leave your answer in the comments below and share your thoughts. Until next time, get ready for more mysterious adventures with Historical Owl.